that when that committee makes its recommendations, we have to convene a separate conversation with the University of the West Indies and its leadership. So my view is simple, and I think it's a logical one. Put a team together based on consultation. As I said, the deputy principal is on the team, which means that the university system is represented. Let them review that report, and parallel to that, review whatever else needs to be reviewed and make some recommendations so that I can then use policy to implement those recommendations. And I think that's the right approach. I don't see a problem with that. A committee doesn't stop criticisms, as you know. You get criticism whether you do right or wrong. It's the nature of Jamaica, especially with a free press. So I don't shy away from that. But I keep focused on what I need to do. And my conviction is that this is the right approach, and we're taking that approach.
And we know that successive governments, Minister, I'm not relating this just to this administration, have appointed committees in the past, and recommendations are made, and they go nowhere. So, our concern, the public's concern, is that this might just be one of those paper tiger committee again.
Right. So I can't help your assumption, clearly, and I know it's based on the history. I think you have to take me at my own track record, and let's see what happens. So hold on the judgment until after the committee report comes in. For now, though, I think all of us need clarity, or we strengthen the policy to give that clarity in one direction or another. And what I've said here is the absolute case. The university functions as part of the larger education, tertiary education system. Even the development of the university itself, the hospital, didn't start with Ministry of Health. It actually started at the university. And they felt because they needed teaching, additional and more modern teaching, they initiated things like the IT system that is now there. It didn't start with us, it started with the university. So when you look at it that way, you're going to have to find a way. And that's what also guides the board. And the board is a hybrid board. As I say, 18 members. I think I only appoint 6 or 7. If it were any of the other management committees of any other boards, I would appoint all of them. So what we need are some clarity. But again, I say, and I'm going to do the work for the committee. And I don't want to presuppose, to judge, to condemn, to assume anything. I think the Auditor General serves a purpose. I've never been critical. I may comment on some of the decisions. I may give my own personal views or professional views, but that purpose hopefully will lead to something better in the future. And I think part of that better is the clarity that should be brought to the table.
So that leads me to this question, Minister. Sure. Are you, as a lawmaker with a responsible ministry, prepared to take bills to Parliament to address some of the recommendations that will come
So
out
the idea would be that when that committee makes its recommendations, we have to convene a separate conversation with the University of the West Indies and its leadership. And then hopefully coming out of that conversation, and based on a feedback also from the other territories within the region, remember it's a regional institution, then I certainly intend to continuously brief the cabinet, my personal cabinet, the Prime Minister and the cabinet, on where we are. And then the cabinet in its wisdom, led by the Prime Minister, will determine what's the best approach. And I think that is the right thing. But as the minister, I have to initiate that, and I have to get all the facts and get what drives the processes and the perspectives. And I think that is what we're doing, and that's the mandate of the board, to assist and to support that committee. And they've already accepted that and stated that in their release.
Funny when people talk about transparency and making full disclosure, and it appears as if that only happens to, meaning that is only expected of politicians or circumstances where politicians find themselves in a spot of bother. So people say, we want full disclosure, we want to know the names, we want to know who, for reasons that the public doesn't know yet. several things in the Auditor General's performance audit ensuring value for money in public health procurement at the UHWI. Several things are unclear because we don't know who directly is responsible or party to some of the breaches that the Auditor General flagged in the report prepared by her team. And politics time is a hell of a time because people are conditioned more than at any other time to demand transparency, to demand full disclosure. If this report had dropped in politics time, every day people be asking, demanding, are the principals of private company 1, private company 2, private company 3, private company 4? Who are these individuals? Meaning the 4 companies that the report says benefit from the UHWI's abuse of its tax-exempt status. Same report drops now. Nobody don't really ask. I mean, we are doing our journalism and keeping the light shone brightly on the issue. But it's almost as if there's no appetite to know who the principals are. And so, as I said, the public does not yet know who the companies are that benefited from the UHWI's abuse of that tax exemption status. And I'd like to know from the Auditor General's Department, the reasons for withholding the naming of the company when it is that what they're accused of being party to is out in the public domain. Why not name, why not identify them? It may be a very good reason. There may be a very good reason to withhold this information. But I'd like to know on what basis that is being withheld. The other thing is this, and related to the same matter. If we step back from the issues raised in the audit report, we will find that the real question we should be asking is there in black and white. The report says that the UHWI, and I'm coming to the issue of the contracts that there are no procurement documents for, fret not. The report says that the UHWI used its status as an entity which does not have to pay tax. In 2003, 2004, under the leadership when the finance ministry was led by Dr. Omar Davis, he went to Parliament and indicated that the government would be changing the law to remove tax exempt status from several government entities that enjoyed the privilege, and that the removal of that privilege, tax exempt status, from several state agencies, including Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission, Jamaica Racing Commission, to name but 2, that would bring $600 million back into the government's coffers in revenue in the 2003-2004 fiscal year. So tax exempt status is a big thing. The state entities benefit from it, or state-related entities, to get the things into the country that they need to carry on their operations and not have to be burdened by a payment to the taxman, or in this case a taxwoman, Favour Williams, Minister of Finance. So it is a real privilege, and it's real money around it. So if you have that status, you ought to protect the status, to preserve the status, and to use it for what it is intended. Now, the UHWI used, the Auditor General says, this status to buy things for private individuals. That's exactly what happened. The only thing is that the UHWI didn't do it. Follow me now. The UHWI did not do this thing. It was somebody at the UHWI who did it. It was some officer, some official with the authority to authorize the documents who did this thing, not the hospital itself. So it's either one individual or a group of individuals who came together with the principals of the private company involved and the private companies involved and decided to do this thing. So if the Auditor General has not named the private companies, so we could start drawing lines and making connections, what hope are we to have that the Howard Mitchell-led team, which has been brought in to look into these matters, and the Patrick Hilton-led board, which is tasked with cleaning up, what hope are we to have that they will name the individuals who signed the requisite documents for the UHWI's tax-exempt status to be used for the benefit of private individuals? That's really what we're facing this morning, and that's what we need to know, who the people are. People who work in the public sector often get away because when problems occur, the way that people hound cabinet ministers, hound politicians, nobody hounds these people any at all. And people revel, some of us, in seeing politicians being hounded. Minister this, minister that, permanent secretary here, this, that. But the people who work in management and who work at the board level always, head below the parapet, escaping bullets, not catching strays. And we protect them, But we always bawl for the blood of minister this, minister that. And minister's time will come. That time will come, fret not. But for right now, who was on the board of the UHWI when these things happened? 2019-2020 fiscal year to 2024-25 fiscal year. That's the period that the Auditor General's report covered. Who was leading at the time? Whose decision was it to abuse the UHWI's tax-exempt status? Who signed the documents? And who knew that the documents were signed and knew that signing the documents to buy things for your private friends in private business was wrong? Who did that? And if the Auditor General is not helping us to fill in the blanks, who will tell us? That's the question this morning. What I do know is who populated the management team of the UHWI over the period that the Auditor General spoke to in her report. Fitzgerald Mitchell was the CEO. And many people don't know about Fitzgerald Mitchell. Fitzgerald Mitchell was appointed CEO of the UHWI in 2024. But don't believe that he was new. He had been acting for 2 years prior to being appointed full-time. And Fitzgerald Mitchell was with the UHWI for 27 years, serving the organization in various management positions within the organization. It is said here that Fitzgerald Mitchell was CEO of the Nuclear Medicine Unit. He holds a Master of Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts in History, Diploma in Institutional Management from UTech, as well as postgraduate certificate in Managing Healthcare Delivery from Harvard University. Under Mitchell's leadership, we're told UHWI implemented wide-reaching modernization initiatives, including the digitization of hospital operations and the strategic acquisition of advanced diagnostic equipment. We are told that he oversaw the reinstatement and expansion of nuclear medicine services at UHWI and worked closely with international and regional partners to improve access to high-quality radiation services. That's Fitzgerald Mitchell. That's the CEO of the UHWI, who's on 3 months leave to 3 months leave to clear the deck so that investigations can run their course, including one by the police fraud squad. Who supported him on the senior management of the UHWI? Helena Thompson, Senior Director of Nursing. Dr. Carl Bruce, Medical Chief of Staff. Dwayne Nelson, Senior Director, Corporate Social Responsibility. Dwight McLeish, Chief Audit Executive. Latoya Miller, Acting Senior Director, Human Resource Management and Development. Donna Harilal, Senior Director, Information Communication Technology. Ainsworth Buckridge, Senior Director, Information Digitization Specialist. Angela Curtis Cox, Senior Director, Strategic Planning, Performance and Project Management. Wayne Robinson, Major Wayne Robinson, Senior Director, Operations and Facilities. Miss Valasha Dover, Acting Senior Director in charge of Finance. All of those individuals part of Fitzgerald Mitchell's management team at the UHWI. The board of the UHWI now. Remember, in December 2023, Tufton announced that the board had been dissolved because of personality clashes involving the chairman, Wayne Chai Chung, and Dr. Andre Foote, the deputy chairman, and that Patrick Hilton and Dwayne DeAndre Cox would replace those two on the UHWI board. So, Joanna Banks, Dr. Merton Smith, Dr. Horace Fletcher, Donovan Betancourt, Dr. Ronald Robinson, Roger Anderson, Professor Joseph Plummer, Professor John Linder, Dr. Dawn Monroe, Catherine Parks Thwaites, plus ex officio board members covering the period 2022 to 2025, Andrea McNeish, Professor Dale Weber, Dr. Jacqueline Misacer McKenzie, Miss Hope Blake, Professor Minerva Thame. All of the names I just mentioned were either part of the UHWI board in the period covered by the Auditor General's report, or part of senior management at the UHWI in the period covered by the Auditor General's report. So therefore, how many of that number, or how many of those individuals knew what was happening where the absence of procurement documents for $521 million in contracts was concerned? Who knew that this was happening? Who knew too that the UHWI inappropriately, well, the UHWI could not provide procurement documentation for 51 contracts valuing $521 million. Who knew that the UHWI frequently initiated the procurement process after goods or services had already been delivered or works completed? And who knew that the UHWI conducted 2 purchases through its private wing, thereby bypassing standard procurement procedures? And who knew that the UHWI did not follow required procurement procedures for hiring consultants and other service providers? All of the management team, the individuals I just mentioned, all of the board members, the individuals I just mentioned, which of you knew that all of this was happening, and what did you do? And then, will the Patrick Hilton board tell us who was ultimately responsible for all of this? And will the Auditor General tell us why she has chosen to not name the private companies who were party to the UHWI abusing its tax-exempt status to buy things for private people to then make profits? Because that is exactly what happened here. We wait for answers.
This morning on the front page, the police fraud squad has been
So, my good people, this is Faada Pow here, and just, weighing in on this whole thing regarding this whole debacle at University of the West Indies. Well, University Hospital of the West Indies. And I've watched on social media, I see a number of people, talking this and talking that and going, stating their thing. One of the things I recognize, and I've said it for a long time, is that we tend to speak in these generalities where we talk about government, we talk about JLP, we talk about PMP, in this case, we're talking about the UHWI and University of the West Indies and so on. And one of the things that I've always been at pains to say to people, none of these entities do anything. It is the people inside the entity that does it. And which is why I've always had a problem with when something goes wrong. You fire the CEO, you fire the minister, you fire the this, and you leave intact the people, the clerk, the supervisor, the people who are doing the actual work. Because it is those same people who do the actual work that facilitate the wrongs and the rights of any situation. I have always taken this view, for instance, people like to talk about the name of the company. Oh, BNS do this and NCB do this and so on. And I say to myself, but hold on, man. NCB is a person? No, NCB is not a person. That's an organization. Government is an organization, a grouping of people. It is people who are actually doing the things. So, for instance, when you go to tax office and you get poor service, it's not inland revenue. You talk about inland revenue. No, it's the clerk, the supervisor, the person that you dealt with. That's the person who offered the bad customer service. When the wrongs happen, it is somebody, an individual who signs off on these things, who agreed with somebody to pervert the process. But instead, we like to talk about, oh, the this and the that and the whatever. But we keep missing the point. It is the individual. We want to fix anything, you have to start with the individuals that work in the company, in the government. If people were to start taking a view that, and again, even this can be tricky. Sometimes I would say, if you imagine that this is your brother, your sister, your child that you're performing this service for, you might offer a better service. That this person that you're dealing with in the line is your mother, your auntie, your uncle, your father. But that only works if you have a good relationship with that person. Because we know that exists as well. All family don't live good. Some family worse than stranger. As a matter of fact, in some cases, a stranger is better than some family. So, in the context of good customer service, maybe what if we replace it with yourself? That the person that you're serving is yourself. You're doing this service to yourself. And then again, you have some people who wicked to their own self. So maybe even that wouldn't work. There are those people who are ones who would hurt their own flesh. Yes. They cut themselves, scratch themselves, burn themselves. Lots of flagellation of self. And if we keep that in mind, boy, this does not even seem like a problem that can be solved. So let's go to this whole thing, and which is why, I really have to admire some of the reporting, most of the reporting that takes place at Nationwide. Because what George Davis has actually brought up is that, yes, it is not the UHWI that did these things. It is people who work in the UHWI who decided, who saw a loophole, or who were approached and made to know about a loophole, and that their assistance would be sought in using this loophole. But one of the things that came out in the conversation in the previous clip with the Minister Tufton, is that, again, we try to paint this thing in a PMP, JLP, in a political thing. But Minister Tufton raised some very important things. For instance, that the UWI is not a Jamaican-owned entity. It is a West Indies, which means that there are several other countries associated with the UWI and hence the University Hospital of the West Indies, which started out as nights, according to what I brought up on their page. It says that in 1967, the University College of West Indies obtained its charter and was granted full university status. The name of the hospital was changed to the University Hospital of the West Indies. The hospital is identified as a center of excellence for teaching, research, and patient care from its inauguration. So, the truth is, this is not really a Jamaica situation that is judged by purely Jamaican setting. That the whole business of how they do contracts, etc., is not just purely based on what are the rules of procurement in Jamaica. That's the point he was trying to bring out. But if you listen to the reporter, you'll realize that the reporter kept trying to tie it back to the government. Why? Well, because we know how the people at North Street operate. Yeah. What they are doing is trying to always start something, because the mission to bring down the government has not changed. It has not changed one bit. And so they're going to look for opportunity and look for some kind of scandal. But how did this whole thing start? Alfred, man. Alfred, you again. Always trying to bring up something without doing research. You know, sometimes, Alfred, I wonder how you reach as far as you reach, you know. Yeah, and I'll call you Alfred because you're youth for me. Yeah, man, you're youth for me. Not big man to you. Alfred, I wonder to myself how you reach where you reach. Because you don't seem to be a very good researcher. It's like you're so anxious. Alfred, you're one of them who was budgeting minister money. I know you have to redo your thing because I just MP money I get now. But Alfred, you're not short of money. I mean, I understand why you're so, I don't know, what the word may I look for? Gravelicious, craven. I mean, you don't have enough. Oh, right, you don't have enough power. And yet, you get your seat, but it's still not giving enough power. So now the strategy is to see if we can bring down the government. Let us find something to bring down the government. Something to cause all kind of problems. What as Minister Tufton pointed out, University Hospital of the West Indies is a teaching hospital for the region. And University of the West Indies is for the region. And he only appoints, to me, what sound like 1/3 of the board members. So he's not totally, this does not fall at his feet per se. And like he said, when the report is done, we'll look at the report, and when we'll have to approach the University of the West Indies, because University Hospital of the West Indies falls under the University of the West Indies. University Hospital of the West Indies falls under University of the West Indies, which means it's a regional thing. And so the conversation will have to be held at a regional level before we can go about making changes. And yes, once again, on a miss. Huh? I saw also in the news this whole issue of this little lady here, call herself she's supposed to be the new JTA head. President Harris. Or is it Harrison or Harrison? Harris or Harrison? Right? Yes. Yes, this lady here. See her here up on the screen, right? File claim. What's your file claim for? Wanting the Supreme Court to shut down, basically make null and void an action that she carried out. Because what? What is the plan? The plan is, if she could get the Supreme Court to nullify the wage agreement, again, another trying again to see if you can create some word for drama. Because the drama in this case now would be, for one, if the wage agreement is nullified, then it would mean that the teachers are without a wage packet, which of course would mean that the teachers would be in an uproar. Teachers being in an uproar creates a problem for parents. But the goodly judge said, hold on 1 second there. For one, in 2021, there was an amendment made to the Companies Act, which said that virtual is acceptable. Because all this was happening in COVID. Secondly, you were the one who convened the meeting. You were the one who held the vote. And you were the one who chaired the meeting. But what you never expected at the time when you did it was that it was only going to be your crew that was going to show up on the meeting. Instead, a bunch of people showed up and voted overwhelmingly to accept the salary package, because what you had wanted was for them to not accept the salary package, keep the teachers frustrated, and by doing so, frustrate the government. And here you are, back again. Here you are, again, trying to see if you can be the fly in the ointment. I tell you, as I watch these guys do their thing, it would appear as if though they are our own worst enemies. They do and they say things that are constantly trying to disrupt. They don't want to move forward, because once again, if they're moving forward, it must be under PMP. But let us ask ourselves the question, have we ever moved forward under the PMP, or do we move backwards? And to cut back to the whole UHWI thing, we have this gentleman here, Dennis Gordon. I believe that's his name, Dennis Gordon. And he had a building that was put up. Yes. This Dennis Gordon. Yes. This Dennis Gordon. You can't even miss it, eh? Dennis J. Gordon building, right? Yes. This was the same Dennis Gordon who they're saying now is part of this whole thing with this equipment and the University Hospital of West Indies, their tax exempt status being used. But before that, you had this whole thing here where he put up a building that apparently did not. It says this building. It said this is really interesting. It says the report says that Jack then submitted an application seeking permission for the partial demolition, renovation, and construction of a two-story building intended for office and warehouse use. The application was assigned to the building officer responsible for the zone where the building is located. The application was referred to the Jamaica Fire Brigade and Town and Country Planning. The building officer completed an initial assessment. The Fire Brigade responded to the application requesting amendments. The Director of Planning visited the site and discovered that the structure under construction was a 3-story building, exceeding the 2-story specified in the application. The Town and Country Planning responded to the application, also requesting amendments. Discrepancy of the plan was officially documented. A cease work notice was served on the owner-occupier. Yet this man went ahead and completed the building. In 2024, it says he hosted a soft launch of the Jack Den group of companies inside the building, which bears his name and houses a new medical facility. Which I hear from what they're reporting is that this is caught up in the UHWI controversy. And Minister Mayor Swaby saying that the facts have only come to his attention through the report he ordered. Oh my goodness. And Mr. Gordon, my company has taken the required steps to regularize the status of the development. Lesser people do these things and order them to knock it down. Right? And then we ask the question about what is Mark Golding and the Dennis Gordon. And it was so funny because during the election thing, you had this thing here.
I'm saying no. The current leader,
With
all is not well in
Dennis
some of our
Gordon
constituencies.
telling Mark Golding that
And
all
as your
is not
regional
well.
chair, I'm going to
Right?
forward them to you. If they can't fall in
That
line,
all is not
then
well.
they give you a chance and leave. And I have no apologies for that. I've been saying, comrades, having said that, I hear your gent say,
Amazing.
but it eat out my belly. I hear you. So, comrades, I'm saying no. I'm saying no. The current leader, all is not well in some of our constituencies. And as your regional chair, I'm going to forward them to you. If they can't fall in line, then they give you a chance and leave. And I have no apologies for that. I've been saying, comrades, having said that, I hear your gent say, but it eat out my belly. I hear you. So, comrades, I'm saying no. I'm saying no. The current leader, all is not well in some of our constituencies. And as your regional chair, I'm going to forward them to you. If they can't fall in line, then they give you a chance and leave. And I have no apologies for that.
Let us ask ourselves the question. What is Mark Golding doing about Dennis Gordon? What is he doing? This is what I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know what it is that he's doing regarding this gentleman. Why, it look like PMP busy. I scrub this thing, yeah, man. Hmm? It would appear as if though they are busy scrubbing this thing. Hmm? Becomes very interesting. Prior to recent swift removal of the website, Jack then recently listed opposition spokesman Alfred Dawes as a consultant. Ay. Very interesting. Oh, you do, Alfred? No, seriously, Alfred, what you do? Cause it look like say you're gone. It look like say you create a problem, man. Hmm? Hmm? Hmm. Very interesting stuff here, man. But people, on our way in, I make we see how this thing go. Because this is not the end. Hmm? Hmm? No, we just started, and it will be interesting to see how it goes. So for right now, what we're gonna see is that these people have not stopped what they're doing. They're gonna keep going. You know, they've they're gonna keep going, and we'll see if this becomes a 9-day wonder, or this eventually blows up sufficiently. Because it looked like PMP have several problems. And then, of course, you have the next question that is out there. Mhm. Because there's this whole thing about the hurricane relief, right? Because this was the thing that the PMP put out there. Yeah? And people want to know how this go. How much money was collected? How much money was collected? And who were the recipients? Because not like, so no one oversight, right? That's a big thing, you know. Yeah, man, big thing. Eh? But for work going at this. So the question is, when the money was collected and the things were collected, did they arrive in Jamaica? Who received them and who gave what? So, PMP, I'm supposed to have enough things I work on right now. And we're interested to see exactly how this go. Yeah, so, Faada Pow, I will close off now, and we'll see how the next week of things go. For those of you in the path of this winter storm, prepare yourself because it don't look pretty. Lots of snow and ice. If you don't have to be on the road, don't be on the road. All right? Faada Pow.